Do you ever wonder why some people seem to eat whatever they want and stay lean or easily lose weight, whereas other people, maybe you, eat something and it just automatically turns to fat? Or maybe you just struggle to lose weight or get to that weight and maintain it. Well, this is where your genetics, your genes come into play. And it does play a big role, I'm not gonna lie, on your weight, your metabolism, your appetite, your body composition. However, I do wanna say it's not all doom and gloom. It's not the be all end all. And your lifestyle plays a major role in this too. So even if you do have more of a genetic predisposition to be fat, there are ways to work around it, which I'll touch on later. But for now, let's get into a bit more of the science of this. And I'll start by saying people just store fat differently too. So a general theme is women are pear-shaped, so they tend to store more fat on their hips, their thighs, and their triceps. And men tend to be more apple-shaped, so they tend to hold more fat on their abdominals and their lower back. However, obviously this does vary from person to person. Some people, person A, a male might be leaner in their legs. So when they start to lose weight, they notice that their legs lean out first. Whereas another person, another male might try to get leaner and they notice their arms get leaner first and they tend to store more fat in their legs. So that is individual dependent too. But there are some key genes to mention. And one of them is the FTO gene. So this is the fat and obesity associated gene. So one of the most studied obesity related gene, and certain variations of this make people more likely to store fat and feel hungrier. We have the MC4R gene, which is melanocortin 4 receptor, which regulates hunger and satiety, with some mutations making people more likely to overeat because they don't feel full as quickly. Another key gene to mention is the LEPR gene, which is the leptin receptor. This gene influences how sensitive the body is to leptin, which is also known as the satiety fullness hormone, which I'm sure most of you are well aware of already. If someone has a mutation leading to leptin resistance, they may struggle to feel full, leading to overeating. And this is also why I don't recommend bulking or dirty bulking or getting too heavy basically, because fat cells don't just disappear, they shrink in size. And when you bulk, there is a probability, there is a chance that you do increase the amount of fat cells, and they won't disappear just when you do a cut. In fact, it will make the next cut you do that much harder. So I'm against bulking, and if you do, and I've learnt my lesson, and like anecdotally in the past too, and from many other people just telling me their experiences. So if you did wanna, side note, if you did wanna try and gain size, I would opt for a clean bulk, generic, like a lean bulk, a clean bulk, where you're literally just above maintenance. You're doing it in a healthy manner, like the 80-20 rule, 80% of it being clean, 20%, you know, kind of being free with it, having the foods you enjoy that typically aren't so good, you know, maybe your favorite ice cream or whatever. But even then, you gotta be careful, because if you like a Ben and Jerry's and you have the whole tub, that's easily 1,200 calories or something like that. So still within reason. And then there are genetic differences which can actually affect the brain's reward system, so influencing how individuals experience pleasure from food and potentially leading to cravings and overeating. This is why some people, when they get stressed, they may tend to look to food to resolve this issue. Maybe when they get emotional, well, stress and emotion, but when they get emotional, when they get upset or they're feeling down, they tend to look for food to give them that quick dopamine hit. Whereas other people stress out and then they don't eat, or they're sad and they don't eat, and then they starve themselves basically, and you notice they drop a lot of weight. Even genetic differences in metabolism and energy expenditure too. So there is a thing where a person of the same weight and height can have a difference of 200 to 300 calories burned in a day just from their different genetic makeup. And also to note on this, some people, they tend to have a higher NEAT, so non-exercise activity thermogenesis, to where they naturally tend to fidget or move more, or just because of their day-to-day, their occupation, they tend to exert more energy. This is why some people, they may think they're eating a lot, but because they move so a lot, they burn a lot more than they think. So they need more food than what they think to maintain their weight or gain weight. And on this point too, a lot of people, majority of people who think they eat a lot don't actually eat a lot. Like you ever hear someone say, like if you have two people from one end of the spectrum, so a skinny guy who thinks they're eating a lot, but if they were to tell the obese guy how much they eat, the obese guy's laughing like, this is nothing. This wouldn't even fill me up. And a lot of the times they're not even really weighing or tracking how much they're eating. So in reality, because they might think that they're eating frequently or they're just eating a lot, it's not actually a lot, if you know what I mean. And I'll also throw in the muscle fiber composition too. So it's said that some people have a genetic advantage in burning fat due to the differences in muscle fiber type and metabolic efficiency. So we're talking slow twitch versus fast twitch fibers. So the slow twitch fibers, also known as type 1, that you might also see, are more efficient at fat oxidation and endurance activities. So think marathon runners, long distance runners, that type of thing. And then you have fast twitch fibers, also known as type 2. Think Usain Bolt, think sprinters, 100-meter runners, 200-meter runners. They tend to burn through glycogen quickly and fatigue faster. People with more slow twitch fibers tend to have tough fat metabolism and may find it easier to stay lean. And then we have the UCP1 gene, the uncoupling protein 1, which influences how much energy is dissipated as heat, thermogenesis. And people with certain UCP1 variations burn more calories passively. So I guess ultimately what people want to know is, can you override your genetics? And while I don't think it's as black and white as people make it out to be, and I do think it is very context dependent, I think you definitely can be a healthier version of yourself. So while I don't think everyone can be 8% shredded year round, I do think you can, let's say you're a 35% body fat individual, I do think you can be a 20 to 25% body fat individual, a healthier version of yourself, if you just focus on things that are in your control. So lifestyle factors basically. So, you know, prioritizing protein rich, nutrient dense, high fiber foods in your diet. And in all your meals, you should be looking at you should be focused on volume eating. You should be focused on getting in a lot of nutrient dense foods, so a lot of vegetables, making sure each of your meals are very protein rich, making sure you can fit in steps in your day, making sure you get in a lot of physical activity, staying on your training regimen. Because even someone who is obese or tends to lean towards that side, an overweight individual, even just keeping up with their training regime can do a lot more for them, can do a lot more for you than you think. So you might think, oh man, I'm 25%, but if you're still keeping up with your training and you're still keeping up with your steps and your physical activity, maybe your eating does go off, but it's helping you offset that. So by keeping on your regime, by keeping up your steps, you're helping yourself stay at 25% rather than be a 35% individual. And I do think that 15 to 18% is a great range to achieve. And I think it is a great place to be a healthy individual. I don't think everyone needs to be 8 to 10% or 10, 11%. However, I do understand a lot of people want to get there. And I do think everyone does have it in them to do that. Like to do that 30-day transformation, to do that 90-day transformation. I think realistically, I would like to manage expectations, and I do think that is quite unrealistic goal to look at, especially if you are, like I said, more genetically predispositioned to be a heavier individual. So yeah, 15 to 18% for males, and then 23 to like 28% for females would be like an ideal range. But like I said too, and I do want to emphasize this, even if you are a 35% individual and it just feels like things are out of your control, it feels like things are out of your control, implementing strategies just like the ones I've mentioned are definitely going to help you. And while you may never achieve that 10% body fat all year round, you can still be a healthier individual, a better version of yourself than you are right now. So if you're 35%, implementing those strategies to be at 25%, and know that, okay, I'm definitely fighting against my genes, and knowing things are still in my control and it's not all doom and gloom. And also to mention, when I do mention physical activity, your training regimen, I'm talking both aerobic and resistance training. Obviously, aerobic is going to be better at burning more calories per minute, per hour, but definitely doing a bit of both because you want to build up the muscle too, of course. So yeah, genetics can influence all of these things, but I assure you it's not your destiny. Lifestyle still plays a major role. If you found this interesting, let me know in the comments. Do you feel like your genetics make it easier for you to stay lean or make it harder for you to stay lean? And of course, don't forget to like it if you liked it, and I will catch you in the next one. I am out. Peace.